Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Excuse the nightwear, but obviously it's nighttime and we're moisturizing, before I personally get ready for bed. This is usually what I do, but as we're doing a murder and moisturize today, this is the new thing that I'm doing. We can talk about a true crime, solved or unsolved, while we moisturize. Now, as I said last week, I was going, you know what, it's been a nightmare this evening with this stand. It's just not doing it for me today. I don't know why. Sorry guys. But yeah, I'm doing murder and moisturize. I should have actually prepared a banner. I've been so busy today. I was catching up on this documentary that I'm doing. So yeah, today we're going to be talking about Strong Island, which is a documentary that's on Netflix. So what I said to you guys last week, I don't know if you've watched my previous lives. If you're new, welcome. If you've been here before, then obviously you know that I've said I was going to use Fenty skincare today. But it seems that I spoke kind of too quick because it's a nightmare to get a hold of here in the UK. The only places that's got it, it's like London. You've got to go to Harrods and Boots here in the UK, but Boots only does them if you order it in. So I've had to order it in, but they can't get it till tomorrow. So what I thought about is doing my usual. I usually use Simple stuff. I don't know if you guys heard of this brand. Oh, if you guys can see it. I use that brand. So I thought while I'm waiting to get my delivery, I'm going to go and collect it tomorrow. I thought I'll do my skincare routine and then I can compare it with the Fenty Rihanna thing next week, if you guys like. So yeah, I mean, let me just put in the title that we've watched. So yeah, I think that would be a good idea to try out the my Simple stuff, how they feel compared to how hers feel, and then kind of I can compare it and say feels light or not or whatever. So yeah, grab your moisturizers, get comfortable. I'm in my robe and my little head wrap. So let's get into it. Thanks everybody for joining me. Netflix. Right, there we go. Sorted. Yeah, so this documentary is about a family's struggle to get justice, basically. They're saying that let me just get my notes out. It's about a guy named William Ford who basically was murdered. Now, the documentary kind of starts with his mum, and she kind of speaks a little bit about how when her and her husband, which are the two parents of William, how they got together and stuff like that. Basically, hi Danielle, thank you for joining. She basically, the mom is being interviewed by her actual child, the brother of I can't seem to figure out actually if it was the brother or the sister, because I didn't want to offend, but the sibling. Basically, Barbara is the mom. She's been interviewed by her own child regarding her other son's murder. So this is a filmmaker that decided to basically document the experience their parents had dealing with their brother's murder. Sorry, I'm being my own mother as well today, I guess. I'm sure the girls are coming. So yeah, so Barbara is basically talking about how she grew up in a predominantly white area when she was young with their grandmother, right? So yeah, I'm gonna as I'm starting, I literally nearly forgot. So I've got my pads, by the way, as I'm doing the documentary. So if you're moisturizing, if you're not, I don't know what time it is for you. Good morning, good afternoon. Like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate it. So yeah, normally, so I would start with the toner, but I'll obviously, you guys know how it goes. Toning, not toning, sorry. I'm going to cleanse my face first, and then I'm going to tone it, and then I'll moisturize it. But I'll do that as we speak. Hi, Nisei. Thanks for joining. I hope you got your moisturizer and products ready. You can always do it with a replay and use me later on as your little moisturizing partner. That's all good for me also. But yeah, so it starts with Barbara speaking a little bit about how she grew up, how she realized that mainly that these people that she grew up around, right, weren't rich, right, but their wealth was in them being white, is what she soon realized when she was young, and that they were very different to, you know, how they were being treated. So she speaks about how her dad, the granddad, right, of the filmmaker that's actually filming the mom, how the dad suffered from real bad asthma. And once upon a, when she was about 2, I think, when Barbara was about 2, her dad had a really bad asthma attack, right? So when he had the attack, back then, obviously it was still segregation. So they took him to a hospital where it was should I say not blacks, colored waiting rooms, and there was white waiting rooms. So as the guy was in the white waiting room, what's it called? Yeah, he was taken to the colored. Hi, Nisei, thanks for joining. She sits there. Well, don't worry, you don't have to. So yeah, she says that basically he went to the colored waiting room, and as he's waiting in the colored waiting room, basically he suffers a really bad attack and respiratory or breathing problems, and they just leave him there to die in the colored changing room. So her dad then passes away, obviously, and she then realizes that these people don't really care. You know, her dad could have been saved, but obviously because it was whites first and blacks came last, he didn't stand a chance. So after she explains that, let me just scroll down a little bit. They jump, obviously they speak to different people, right? So then they jump forward, and she speaks about how she met their dad back in the day and how he, you know, asked her out and stuff like that. And as a young couple, they, you know, decided to go and get an apartment in Brooklyn, right? And they go to Brooklyn, they move to Brooklyn and look for this house to live in. And then they love living in Brooklyn. So let me get that out of the way. They loved living in Brooklyn. So they got an apartment, and soon after they had their son. Now, after they had their son, they, you know, lived together in the house for a bit. The dad used to always work and try to do better, basically, for the family. And she realized that her mom always used to graft the grandmother. So she knew that she had to Barbara knew, William's mom knew she had to educate herself and basically go back to school and try to basically make something of herself. And she loved teaching. So she decided to become a teacher and worked as a teacher for a while. You know, she talks about how her own mom used to strip tobacco for a living, and that was hard work. So she knew she definitely didn't want to do that. So after she, you know, educated herself and became a teacher, they raised their kids, you know, like how people say, and this is the argument I want to raise, Why do people sometimes say, you know, you've got to do better and bad things don't happen to you if you educate yourself, get yourself into a nice, not even a nice neighborhood, but educate your children, make sure they are not up to no good, they're not thugging in the streets. But when you do all of that and your child still becomes a victim of, you know, racist crimes or a crime or a murder, what do you do? What type of faith would you have left? Would you have left, right, in the system? If you think about it, you wouldn't have nothing left, would you? So that's the part that kind of got to me, like the fact that when she was young, she used to see this segregation, and then now that she's older, she's still in it. And then for her to have a son that actually died due to things that when she was growing up she used to see and thought that these things would change, you know, it's heartbreaking, isn't it, for a mom to know that this actually happened to her own son. Now, so then it goes to, oh, thank you. I feel like I've got dark circles about this is the stripped down version. If you've seen other lives, you've probably seen me looking a hell of a lot better than this, but thank you, Deborah. Thanks for joining, Deborah, by the way. So yeah, and like I said, ladies, I'll be using my moisturizers today. I'm using Simple if you've just joined, which I use usually for I don't like things that have too many chemicals and stuff, but I was going to compare it with the Fenty skincare range, but I couldn't get it delivered. It's really hard to get a hold of. It's very, very exclusive down here in the UK. So I've ordered it. So I'm going to go and pick it up tomorrow after work, and then we can compare it next week. So what I'll do next week is probably compare the two and see how they feel, you know what I mean, with one another. And yeah, and then we'll take it from there. If I love the Rihanna thing, I mean, it's been getting really, really good reviews. So hopefully I'll love it and I can stick with that for a while. I mean, they don't even, it's really hard to even get the full bottled sizes, because they've got sizes to travel with that they sell at the cash register, stuff like that. So it's been a nightmare, but I will get it sorted. So the Mrs. Ford, Barbara, the mom, then after she's obviously become a teacher, she develops a whole program for, I'm just going to do my nose properly because I'm really, really funny with the blackheads in her. She, oh, I don't know why it's, she develops a whole program for the Rikers Island jail, right? Prison, for the women that come out of there so they can better themselves. And you know what I mean? Like, I think I forgot to do this eye actually. So they can better themselves and educate themselves. When they come out, they can have better opportunities. So, but back then, when when his parents had more children, because obviously they ended up having more kids, they had 3 in total, they decided to move home. And then it goes to a clip where maybe you guys, who, I don't know if any of you live in Long Island or live near there, but they showed a little bit about Long Island and how the government, I shouldn't say the government, but they would only have a very small area for black people to live in, and then the rest of it was predominantly white. So he said they basically moved and moved to this particular area where, you know, it wasn't as nice as you would think. You know, his friend said you would come out your house and you'd run home back for your life, basically. So, oh, thank you, Danielle. I've just noticed your comment. Yeah, definitely moisturize. Like, I'm not as young as you think, you know, but I've never been somebody to wear heavy makeup all the time. I've always just simply moisturized, even if I don't get a chance to cleanse. Oh yeah, I forgot to say, I tend to wash with like a quick wash from Clean and Clear. I mean, an anti-blackhead, a scrub, whatever you fancy. I tend to just do that, and then I simply moisturize. But yeah, definitely moisturizing is the key, ladies. All these young girls want to wear heavy makeup. not clean their face, not moisturize, sleep with the makeup. I mean, it's just all bad for you, isn't it, really? Tell these young girls, come on. So, oh, let me just get that notification off. Yeah, so they're now looking for a new apartment to get more space. So they move out of, they look into Brooklyn, don't really find anything they like. So they end up in Long Island. And then, you know, his friend Kevin comes into the story, who talks a little bit about how the area was not, you know, the best. And it was called Central Islip. So they moved there, and you know, they felt like, the sisters explained that she felt like they moved back into a segregated area. Now, I've just cleansed my skin with the cleansing lotion. I'm just going to tone it now. So just so you know what I'm doing step by step. So yeah, her father, their father basically worked nights at this point, right? He had no time to go back to school. He used to go to college, but mum said that after they moved into this area, the houses, by the way, they would fool you by having cheap housing, like cheap rent, but the taxes were so high. I mean, the schooling in the area that you wanted your kids to go to was so high and expensive. For 3 children, you were paying like thousands and thousands in tuition until they actually finished their education. So dad, at this point, couldn't even stay in college to educate himself. He had to go and get an extra night shift job in order to make ends meet to keep these kids in the schools and in the area they lived in. So, hold on, I moved it, sorry. And then Leslie ends up being a girl that William liked and becomes his girlfriend. And then you've got his little sister, who he nicknames Kato. So they are basically driving home. This is now when the story, the night of the murder, comes in. They are now driving home from been to the cinemas, right? Had a movie, watched a movie. The sister and him are coming home, and they are all in the car. It's his girlfriend Leslie who's driving her car. Then it's William in the car, the younger sister. And as Leslie is driving, his younger sister Kato realized that there's a tow truck that's got the lights off coming our way. And before she could say, look out, the tow truck literally hit them, you know, head first, and they were in a car accident. So all she remembers hearing is, this guy is going to fix the car if Leslie, William's girlfriend, doesn't call the police and report it as an accident. He's got a garage. He's willing to fix the car. Now, he takes the car to this garage. His friend Kevin, who's with them that night, says, these are not the type of people you want to hang around with. You know what I mean? If they're going to fix the car, just get the car done and sorted and, you know, stay away from them. So then the tow truck driver takes the ap, obviously. And then a couple of nights later or a week later, I don't know how long, William actually calls his friend. Kevin calls his friend, and William calls his friend Kevin and tells him, come, let's go pick up the car because they're telling me that it's ready. So Kevin proposes to, let's go get a drink in the bar, which is kind of like, let's go to the strip club and then we can go pick up the car later on. So William's like, no, we're going to go and pick up the car first. So they end up going to this garage, right? So they go to this garage where they step out of the car. Kevin says he's behind him, but William gets to the courtyard first. So as he's there, he's speaking to somebody, and Kevin hears words being exchanged, but can't really tell what is being said. But he can tell it's kind of getting heated. So he's thinking, here we go, it's going to kick off. So Kevin notices somebody walking out of the garage door. They're in the courtyard, but the garage door is like in the back. So somebody walks out, and as the person is walking out, William turns around to Kevin and says, that's the guy that was basically swearing at my mother. I need to go and have a word. So as he's gone to walk up to this guy, that guy turns back around, walks back into the garage, right, and turns left. Now, Kevin can't see what's going on at this point. All he sees is William following this guy into the garage and turning left. So he turns left. William follows the guy in, right? And as William turns left and Kevin can't see William anymore, right? He's gone out of view at this point. He then hears a pop, thinking, what the hell is that pop? Right? And obviously at this point, they still don't know what's going on. And then it jumps to Kevin explaining like, oh, you know, back then when people talk about your mom and stuff like that, you know, you wouldn't let it go. You would see it as disrespect, right? So William wanted to set this guy straight. Mind you, he's already spoken to the guy in the courtyard and told him, I'm going to get you shot down when I become a cop, because William was applying to become a police officer. So obviously these guys are already kind of talking to him in a certain way and feel a way about it. So they then, Kevin then sees basically this guy in the garage, but doesn't really know what's going on. And then he realizes that what's going on with Kevin? Why is he on the floor? And then he asks the guy, do you guys have guns in here? And the guy says, yeah, like, what gun have you got? A 22. Kevin's thinking a 22, they shoot birds and rabbits with this. Like, that's not a big deal. Get up, man. Come on, dude, get up. And William is not getting up off the floor. So at this point, Kevin realizes that something's going on, but then it leaves that scene behind and it jumps to Barbara, his mom, who speaks about her experience when Kevin called her and told her, get to the garage right now, like something happened to William. And then Barbara turns up at the garage and realizes that it's all been cornered off. But then you've got the other picture of the story where it's the younger sister who had been left at home when mom rushed out to go and see William when Kevin called her. And the sister only knows from her side, mom's gone to collect Kevin because he's been in a fight. So she doesn't really know what's going on. But her dad then turns up, you know, from his night shift and he's like, where's mom? Where's your brother? And she's like, well, Kevin, you know, William's been in a fight and she's gone. Kevin called her and she's gone to go and fetch him. So dad's like, okay, then before you know it, mom's come home. The sister, you know, recalls and says, she just said he's gone, and they broke down as a family, you know, and it was just awful. It was awful. I mean, the sister recalls that during the summer that when their brother died, well, I shouldn't say when their brother got killed, the house phone would just ring non-stop, day and night. It would be ringing to the point where she had to unplug all the phones in the house and only keep the one in her room plugged in so she could answer the phone calls and deal with it. And her parents could get some sleep because they were that, you know, bereaved that they weren't sleeping and the phone calls weren't helping. So the sister realized that there was this particular car always parked outside their house, and then the phone would ring all day and night. So this was like a intimidation method in order to keep the family from, you know, pursuing justice for their son. You know what I mean? So then I'm just moisturizing now, guys. So then after that, Barbara explains, she writes a letter to the DA at the time and explains to him that basically we've waited, we've cooperated with you guys. You still haven't given us any news on what's going to happen with my son's murder, what's going to happen with the guy who did it. You guys haven't given us any follow-up. It's just the mom basically wrote him a letter saying, I will not give up on my son until I find justice. This is not going to stop. So, you know, I still pledge my coordination in the case, but I would like to know what's going on with my phone. And ladies, don't forget your neck. Usually when you're moisturizing, we tend to forget. But remember, your age shows in your neck at a certain point. Probably shows in mine already, but you know. But yeah, so then we get a clip of David Breen. He's a former Manhattan assistant DA, and he explains, now, this is what I found really interesting. He explains that a Bill of Rights is called sometimes for a grand jury in felony cases like this. So at a grand jury, you've got to be able to prove that there's probable cause that a crime has been committed. My game. Yeah, yeah, you need to, man or woman, definitely. Um, but yeah, so he says in a grand jury, right, you have to be able to prove that there's probable cause that a crime has been committed, and there's probable cause that this person committed the crime. So you've got to be able to prove those two things. So when this case had gone to a grand jury, right, the prosecutor requested a grand jury. So when it went to a grand jury, they're saying that they basically said no true bill. Now, the meaning of these things, a grand jury, I didn't know this, but it's made out of 23 people that they randomly select out of jury pool, like a random jury, whatever, you know, that they've got a database. And then when you go to trial as a prosecutor, you have to be able to a normal trial. Yeah, if you compare a grand jury with a normal trial, at a grand jury, at a normal trial, you have to be able to prove beyond reasonable doubt, right, that this person has done it beyond reasonable doubt. But a grand jury just needs just needs probable cause. So it's much easier for a defendant, I think, to, if you're innocent, that is, to win your case in a grand jury, because if your case is black and white and you've got your alibi and they can put all of those things forward and prove it, then there is no probable cause that you've committed this crime, right? You've got to have probable cause, and you've got to be able to, what did it say? Here I am trying to sound like a bloody solicitor. You've got to have probable cause that a crime had been committed and that this person committed the crime. So you can't necessarily prove those. If you can't prove those things, then obviously a grand jury ain't for you. But in this case, they did go to a grand jury, right? And the guy who's talking about it is saying that basically this should have gone to a true bill. And a true bill means a decision that a grand jury is basically a decision that a grand jury can formally charge a person with committing a crime and begins the criminal prosecution process. So with a normal trial, you'd probably straight away get convicted, right? And then sent to jail to come back for sentencing. But with a grand jury, they will charge you right then and there with whatever it says on the book that they can charge you with, and they'll start the process. Then in the process, you can prove whether you're innocent, whether you deserve less than what's on the book, you know, under the law, or, you know, vice versa. So in some jurisdictions, so they say that it's a crime if you share any of the information in a grand jury. So if you've been called in to be a juror, you can't share anything. If you've been called in to be a witness, though, in, like, for example, New York, you're allowed to share. Yeah, you're allowed to share information if you're a witness. So Barbara is then basically speaking about the fact that she remembers when she went in to go and testify for her son's killing, right? And that when she went in there, that basically she walked in, it was like theater seating, you know, like when it goes up, like the stairs behind me. It was like elevated seats, she says, like a theater. There's about 20 people there. Some of them are reading books. I mean, some of them are doing crossword puzzles and Sudoku, and some of them are having conversations. This mother lost her son. He was shot, you know, point blank by another white guy, a young boy actually, and nothing was done about it. Now she's come to testify and nobody's actually paying attention to her testimony. She said at one point she cried, and sitting there, she said, it feels like they were looking at me and thinking, here's another black woman who didn't do her job with her child, and she wants us in some way, you know, to punish somebody. That's how his mom felt. The fact that they are looking at her like, you know, your son probably deserved it. You didn't raise him right. It was your own fault. All that. And then the assistant district attorney at the time, right, and the detective apparently came to visit her at home to tell her that they voted no true bill. So basically, you've got no probable cause, is what they're saying in court, even though he got shot, this boy, you know, point blank in the garage. So anyway, Kevin, his best friend now, reminiscing about when he and William, you know, how they were when they were in school, how William ended up getting a job teaching at Rikers Island, and that ever since he started working at the prison, it had really changed him. And then it goes back to the night when he got shot and Kevin was there. So now we hear the story of hey Bobo, thanks for joining. You hear the story about how when Kevin walks into that garage, they're standing over him. The boys standing over him, shot him with a .22 caliber. Now Kevin's thinking William he'll be fine, but he wasn't. Now before you know, the police runs in, they pull him off, they tell him to duck behind a car because there's a guy with a gun in here, right? So he then says, he's telling the police, like, what about my friend? You need to help him. You need to help him. And they tell him that, do you not realize there's a murder that's been committed here? A murder's been committed. So he then realizes that his friend actually, he must have passed away if they're saying that he's dead. And then what shocks Kevin is, as he's ducking behind this car, he witnesses the young man being led out of the garage with no handcuffs, right, with the police, with no handcuffs, walks out, and then is standing by the police car, and basically they're having a discussion. They're having a discussion about basically whatever. And Kevin is watching this thinking, why is he not handcuffed? Why is he not, you know, being put in the police car? And then a limousine turns up and the guy gets basically led into the limousine, and he sits in the limousine for a while, and then we don't really hear anything more about it, right? And then he says basically that they just let him walk out, and he realizes that nobody's actually going to do anything about his friend's murder. Then it jumps back to the mom, who she speaks a little bit about how she really wanted William's father to have more of a backbone and do something, you know, maybe buy a gun and avenge their son's death. But obviously that's not rational thinking. Obviously everybody wants revenge at some point if you've lost a child, but that's not the key. Then you see a little bit about their graduation, how the dad has now had a stroke and is in terrible state, basically not in a good condition. His whole left side is paralyzed, so they're dealing with that alongside, you know, the murder. And then this is the part that really got me upset, actually, alongside with the documentary maker, his sibling. The fact that she spoke to this, they spoke to this detective that dealt with the case back then. He then says that the reason why they never indicted the white boy for the killing is because William apparently had thrown a car door and a vacuum at them before. So there was a previous incident, and they claimed that they were scared for their lives, hence why, you know, they shot him. So when they looked a little bit more into the garage owner, they found out that this guy was running a chop shop and used to use children to go and steal cars for him, basically, that he could then chop up, take parts and whatever, and sell, right? So Yeah. Do you see? I didn't even know where that came from. Yeah, I believe so too. Thank you for being that. Um, thank you for being involved. I appreciate your input. Yeah, yeah, definitely they cover up. And I actually from the documentary, I didn't. Yeah, yeah, I didn't really see what the connection was. Um, but it was very raw. It was very heartfelt. I mean, it was really, really sad actually to watch this documentary. They said that Mark Riley, who was the actual shooter, um, was one of the guys who was working with him and stealing cars and stuff like that. Now, Kevin recalls hearing William threatening him, remember, in the yard. So they don't even know, like, in a way that this guy, he made up the story about being scared, right? Or feeling like he's threatened, but there was no threat there, and then you see the mom, she's just in hospital at this point, sick, like sick and old. And she still doesn't know who, she still hasn't had justice. She's always said she believes the reason they never cared is because her son was of color, because her son was black. That's why they never looked twice, never bat an eyelid, never looked twice. And they never really cared. They didn't care what happened. It shows. If that was a black boy in the shop, in the garage, right, yeah, and he came out and he was the one reportedly shooting people, I don't think this is how it would have gone. So, yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. I mean, I've dropped the link if you guys want to have a little chat about it. But ladies, remember to moisturize, drink lots of water. I'm really terrible. I mean, I've got good days and bad days, don't we all? But try and stay hydrated so your skin can just get what it needs. Yeah, next week I'll try. I use some of this as well. I use a bit of Nivea. I like Nivea. So I use that as well on my face to moisturize on a day to day and my body. But obviously you can use whatever you're into, really. Cocoa butter, I've got all sorts. Natural coconut, you can use coconut oil. Whatever you're into, you can use. But yeah, I wanted to know a little bit more actually about the fact that why didn't they, when they said no bill, how come they oh, thank you so much. Thanks, FM. I hope you're getting on all right with your new job and whatnot. Thanks for the support. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, with yeah, they definitely did do that, but with this Strong Island documentary, it is from a couple of years ago. If you guys are familiar with it, but I mean, he was only 24 years old. He was only 24 years old, so I don't know actually what actually happened to this Mark Riley guy. Did they just allow him to carry on and live his little prosperous life, or oh, is that him? Hold on. You see, this is the one. Here he is. Apparently, he committed murder and then went to an elite school. That's Mark Riley, right? Like the present Mark Riley. So obviously, there we go. White is clearly right because this man went on and had a life. He actually graduated. Hold on, it's just loading the page. Don't start. Do not start. You're late for the party. I'm 40 minutes into my life. I've been moisturizing. Come on, everybody, let her know. No, it's okay. Don't worry about it. You're busy. You're both busy earning your coins. You stay at work and do what you're doing. It's fine. She says, "Where's the moisture?" Only Ablavi would jump on here and say, "Where's the moisture?" I swear. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. But yeah, so this guy went on and oh, hold on. That could have been his brother, actually. No, that's not the same guy. Remember, Mark Riley is a, yeah. Mark Riley is a, yeah. Mark Riley is a common name, if you know what I mean. It's a very common name. I mean, here in Britain, I'm sure we have plenty of Mark Rileys. I can't seem to find anything. He does appear to be oh, and the mom, she died. Yeah, the mom actually died during the filming of this, apparently in 2012, which is quite sad. She actually passed away. Apparently, the brother said it's of stress and self-blame. Oh, I've got a new caller. Welcome, welcome.
Hey.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can actually.
Okay, no, I'm a long time viewer. Well, not long time, but since sorry,
Thank
that's my
you
puppy.
for joining. You're always leaving me nice comments and stuff. Thank you. I kind of now I can put the face to the name.
Yeah, that's me. So yeah, no, just trying to give you an American prescription on it. Like
Yeah.
yeah, no, honestly it's a sad story to me. To me it's pretty honestly clear, that the white guy just used an excuse that the black guy, from what I've heard from the story, he was just trying to get his money back. If anything, he let them slide, saying, just fix my car and I won't take you to court. And
Yeah.
apparently they didn't even want to do that much. So, he came trying to, get what was his. And they probably thought he was overstepping his, boundaries, considering he was a colored man in the, the
Is that your
60s.
dog?
Yeah. Yeah. He's acting kind of crazy right now. But yeah, so I think it's just sad what happened. It's criminal what happened at the end of the day. So I don't know if there's any type of justice that can be gotten.
No.
As
No,
long as
I
you
mean,
don't
I
forget
was
the
just
story.
reading his mom actually died, and the siblings said she died from stress and self-blame. Like, she never gave up on trying to get justice for her child. So
that's a pretty traumatizing thing. Imagine, just by itself,
yeah,
having your children die before you, but having your children die in such an unjust way, that's pretty bad.
100%, 100%. But no, I appreciate you calling in and helping me out. Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, no.
Did you
I always heard you talk.
moisturize? Did you moisturize your neck?
No, not yet. It's like 6 o'clock. Yeah, no, I don't start my whole face care routine till about 9. So, but yeah,
Oh,
moisturizing.
okay. No worries.
Yeah, my
No
brother
worries.
and Naomi Watts taught me, hey, as soon as you wake up, drink a full glass of
Yeah.
water. Gotta moisturize.
Yeah.
Keep that skin
Yeah.
healthy. But nah,
You
keep
look
doing what
young
you
though.
do.
Anyway, you don't look that old at all.
I'm 29. I'm still kind of young, so.
Yeah, you look young enough.
You look young. I know you're what.
I'm in my
28?
mid-30s, you know. I'm closer to 40 than 30, to be honest.
Stop lying.
I am. So thank you. I'll take the comment. Thank you so much.
No problem.
I'll take the compliment. Yeah.
All right, but
Oh, here she comes. Oh, you want to jump off?
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
No problem.
Definitely join me again, yeah? I appreciate the support. Take care.
You too.
Hey, Ablavi. Come. Welcome.
Hi. Where's the
Like, where's the
moisture?
moisture? Listen, the moisture has been moistured. Can you not see? I'm glowing and looking youthful out here.
Oh, okay,
But
because I
where's the
popped
where's,
on.
where's
I
the
see a
moisture?
lot of talk, no moisture.
Oh, please. I swear to God. I've done them all. Here are my little that I've used.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. And I see you got
I'm,
somebody new on the panel.
I'm cleansed. I'm, moisturized. I'm scrubbed, ready. Yeah. I might, you know what? I might come on a little bit. I'll try something different next week. But yeah, I couldn't get my delivery of the Fenty, so I'm gonna compare the two next week, hopefully. Yeah. Where
Don't
you been?
I've been living my best life. I just got home from work. Nonetheless.
Did you not listen to my story?
Yeah, I heard it. I was on my train ride home.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Nice.
I just didn't see no moisture. So that's why I decided.
I was listen, I was rubbing and rubbing. It's a little bit funny seeing yourself as if like this is a mirror, right?
Mm-hmm.
Seeing yourself in it and seeing bits of cream there, and you're like, oh God, that looks bad. Rub it out. But no, it was fine.
This is an interesting case because, like,
yeah,
clearly this was a whole. He was killed because of the chop shop they were running, and they wanted to take his car. It's clear.
Yeah. It looks to me. It seemed to me like even the accident was planned. Actually,
yeah,
right? Yeah, the way she said, "Oh, he was coming." It seemed to me like they wanted to hit someone so they could take the car and say, don't worry, we'll fix it for free, but maybe take some parts of the car or something like that. I mean, they do that here in England. It's called crash for cash, they call it. Crash for cash, where they target people. But this is more insurance fraud rather than car parts. You know what I mean?
Well, I hear, is it true the director is transgender?
Right. This is what I was confused. Now, the filmmaker claims to be William, the guy who died's brother. But the person doesn't look like a man. But then in the story, he says or she said, I'm confused. The person, the filmmaker, mentions that they were queer and had a really hard time coming out. Now, whether they are trans, that makes sense because the person looks very butch, but the mom only had William and two daughters. So now, if you're saying the person is transgender, she turned man. She went from woman to man then because she called somebody. He called somebody on the phone at one point when he got really upset because the detective told him that the reason they never indicted him back then is because your brother had a vacuum, through a vacuum and a car door, apparently, and that was the reason why basically his death was worth nothing to them. Like, it was nothing to them. It was just the boy shot him in self-defense and that's it. But I think the filmmaker might be transgendered, and that makes sense now because I was confused. The person sounds like not like a woman, but there's a feminine tone, something feminine there, but they're claiming to be a man. But then the mom said we only had two daughters left after William died. So I was confused, but great that you've said that because that makes sense now. That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, she called her partner, which was a woman. Well, he called his partner, and it ended up being a woman. So, and he was crying. So he changed his gender then. That in itself is so interesting.
Well, a little bit about the United States with the housing. So basically what had happened in housing was they would call it redlining, where if you were African American, you could only live in certain neighborhoods.
Yeah,
and
they said in Long Island. Are you near there?
Yeah, Long Island is like 2 hours away.
Right, so they said Long Island, it's like a little middle patch called, what did they say the name was? Hold on, I've got it here.
It slipped something like that.
Yes. something Islip.
Yeah, Central Islip.
Central Islip.
Yeah.
Could be. Yeah. So she was like, it felt like we were segregated all over again. The filmmaker, because she said it was us in the middle like that, boxed in, kind of, and then everywhere else was predominantly white.
Yeah.
Is it still like that now? Or is it all predominant? Like, have the times changed? Not as in for the black people, but the area and the property value as such.
So, okay. It depends. So a lot of white people in the 70s moved out of New York. So my neighborhood was Jewish in the 1900s. All the Jewish people moved and the black people moved to Harlem. Now they're gentrifying it and it's becoming a lot more white. If you go in Brooklyn, that's what's happened. They've gentrified it a lot. But in the city, basically, when one black person moved to the neighborhood, most of the white people left. Like, for instance, Compton was technically a white neighborhood when it came.
I heard about that. Even Watts was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard about that. That it was so white that if you were black, you were the needle in a haystack kind of thing. And it was that. But they didn't want you there. But then because a lot of blacks ended up, blacks follow blacks, right?
Yeah.
Really. So more came. The more came, they couldn't control who was living there anymore. So they left.
Well, they do it now too, because like even in New York, the neighborhoods are still very segregated. Like, while I'm not going to say if you're one race, you can't live in any neighborhood, but based on where you are, you can kind of tell what neighborhood you live in, right? Yeah. So I live in Harlem, that's black. It's really the only really black neighborhood in Manhattan. If you go to Washington Heights, what's on top of me, it's very Dominican. If you go to East Harlem, it's very Mexican. Now, East Harlem used to be Italian.
Yeah.
It was an Italian neighborhood.
Right.
If you go to Greenpoint, it's a Polish neighborhood. It's in Brooklyn. And you were told, if you are not white, do not go into that neighborhood. That's how it was for years. Now the neighborhood has changed because it's been gentrified and they've kicked all those people out. They really are trying to make New York City just for the rich. They want to kick out all the poor people. But the reason why they can't do it is of all races. They don't want poor white. They don't want, they don't want poor blacks. They don't want poor Hispanics. They really want to kick out all poor people. The issue with doing it here is we have a lot of government housing. So the new thing they're doing is they're trying to privatize it, but there's just too many people for them to kick out,
Yeah. But they do it here. Like, they'll get rid of old buildings, put up a new block of flats. 10% of that flat will be promised to social. Let's say 30% of that building will be promised to social housing. But in the end, the private person will push that down to maybe less than 10%. Right, and then most of it will be to sell, to buy, right?
Well, so they can't do that with projects here because
they do that a lot now, a lot. And you'll be living across the road from a new building that says to sell, to buy, and you're living in your old piece of social housing property that they don't even come and fix again. Do you know what I mean?
That's how it is to get people to leave. Then, like in Harlem, so my neighborhood has just been considered a historical neighborhood.
Yeah.
That means that any building that is, no building in my section can be torn down. And when it's renovated, it has to be renovated to their historic conditions.
Right.
So like now because a lot of people have been buying these properties, and then the pandemic happened, so they weren't able to build it up. Now they have the next issue where they can't build these high rise because where I live, you're only allowed 5 stories up.
Yeah.
So they're having a hard time in my area because a lot of people here are not willing for it to look like downtown, because in New York, they have empty buildings. Nobody's living in it because it's too high. And they're just sitting there.
Yeah, no. Here they build way too much now. Everywhere is like this. Everything is boxed in, boxed in, boxed in, boxed in, all around. You have no greenery. New York doesn't, besides for the parks that they have, isn't it building upon building upon building upon building?
Well, yeah,
Kinda.
but that's another thing they've had to do. They've had to consider parks national treasures because
greenery things. Yeah,
they were trying to build in the park.
Yeah, I can imagine. They try to build anywhere now. If the mayor who's in charge of the city has certain contracts for sale or up for grabs, if you're somebody who has enough money and can get those contracts, if you're friends or whatever, they get those contracts. That's how they build in the cities, don't they? Mm-hmm. By getting those underhand contracts under the table. And then before you know it, they're moving people out. But where they're moving you to is not necessarily where you want to be. I mean, look at what they did in London. They're still doing it now. Plenty of families have been told, we cannot help to pay for your house anymore, government housing. You need to go and look for cheaper rent. Otherwise, pay it from your own pocket. Now, if you're living in London, you're getting a 2-bedroom house for, let's say, £1,200. You can't come up with £1,200 if you're not working, if you're a single parent. So it's like you're forced to move, take your kids and move outside of the bigger cities. Go and live in.
You have to be careful with that because like I've said, like it's not easy going from New York to other places, right? No. People rely on public transportation. It's not
yeah.
In New York, too, they're having a big issue because a lot of the poor people have stayed and a lot of the rich people have left. So now they're having an issue where they have places that they're not able to rent. It's something ridiculous. Some of the wealthiest neighborhoods are having such a hard time simply because the people who could afford it left.
Yeah.
The other people can't afford it. A lot of people have moved. A lot of people have not paid their rent. So it's going to be a whole issue.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Well,
Colorado.
People forget about this, and when people in other parts of the country are saying, "Oh, these people are moving here," great. No, because that happened in New York. These wealthy developers came, and all of a sudden, apartments went for $3,500. They're just trying to do this all around the United States. They want it so that everybody is paying $3,500 for rent. Now, if you own, that's great because your property value is going up. But if you don't, and even the houses that are being bought, most of the houses that are being bought are by the banks because they're being bought in cash. They're not giving any money away. It is going to be an entire mess.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how, like the way she explained that she said, what did she say? I knew these people weren't rich, but they were wealthy because they were white. Their wealth was because they were white, she said. Like, even the poorest of the poorest white are being treated better than the blacks. Even Even the, I can't say, can I say SHIT?
I mean, you can. I don't know if you're going to be monetized.
Okay, I shall not say it.
I mean, but here's the thing. Like, we all know that, in terms of who is said to have owned America, it is the Europeans. Now, the issue is what people are not realizing is it's getting so bad in America, nobody's going to be able to buy. And I don't think people are getting that because you're not guaranteed in 20 years an engineer is going to be a career. You're not guaranteed in 20 years a doctor is going to be a career because the way automation goes, if all service jobs are taken away with automation
by machine,
and I mean accountant is taken away, how are people going to make money? And people are not even saying that. Is it realistic to get a 30-year mortgage when you might not have a job for 30 years?
No, it's not. People are struggling. It's not like back in the day when a couple got together, they got married, the next step they did was buy a house. You'd be lucky to buy a house now in England, unless you're well off or you've got parents that are putting down the money towards your house. You're not buying a house. It's not realistic. Like what you said, am I living to work or am I working to live? Am I going to work a 60-hour week and barely pay my mortgage and just be stressed as F for 25 years? That's not it for me. That's not, is that what you would choose?
I mean, I'm not
30 years of working back to back to back to back to back.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you can't buy. I'm just saying it's less mobile than what it's been before. And what people don't understand is there is when rich people move from New York to your town for less money, it's not going to make it better for the natives in your town. It's going to make it worse.
Yeah,
you're going to start seeing rent go up. It's going to. I have a theory that in 10, 20 years, 3,500 is going to be average for rent, and people are not getting that.
Yeah, no, buying a house is not realistic anymore. It's a chore and a half. It's a chore and a half. Buying houses.
Listen, I'm not saying don't buy it. If you find a cheap house or a fixer-upper.
Oh, 100%. If yeah, 100%. If you can do it, definitely go for it.
Now, you know? I don't want it, but people who want it,
If you 100%. If you want to do it, go for it. But like Ablavi said, I mean, remember when the economy kind of broke down a bit? Mm-hmm. What happened? How many people who saved, let's say, here in England, the average house is 150, 180,000. It's a decent 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom house, maybe 200,000. Now, if I've saved up 20% or 10% of that is what they usually ask for, right? Mm-hmm. If I've saved up, then, and I put that money down, what happens when 10 years down the line, I've now lost my little business? Like even the pandemic, how many people have lost mortgage and had to risk losing 30, 40 grand that they are already in? They're 40 grand deep, but they don't have money to pay now. The bank is still going to take that house back, right? And then you've lost all your money. It's a very big risk. It is a big risk unless you've got, me and my friends talk about this, unless you've got more than half or at least half of what the house costs in cash, it's not worth doing it. Because at least your mortgage will be less than rent money. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, listen,
your mortgage will be less than average. Do you understand?
Yeah, but even owning a house, is it worth going through tenants and things like that? It's getting to the point where it's like, are people going to be living in their little vans or in tents? Because it's getting ridiculous. Are people going to be buying like their little RVs and just parking it in the Walmart parking garage?
Oh, hey, Perry. Hey, Dan. Is that FM? Who joined? I just saw somebody. Is that Perry?
Oh, yeah. Hi, Perry.
Hi.
To San Francisco, they're already $3,500 for a 1-bedroom.
Yeah. What did she say?
Honey, you ain't telling no lie. And you know all the text companies
$3,500. Yeah. That's like what? £3,000? I'm not paying $3,000 unless I'm living in some mansion. Listen, unless I'm living in a Kim Kardashian mansion, I'm not paying $3,000.
Please, that's like $100,000 a month.
Huh?
That's like $100,000 a month on the low end.
No, this one. What did she say? It's
you said Kim Kardashian. I said they don't.
No, what I'm saying to you is a house here in Britain renting $3,000 a month. You're living like a king and queen. What are you talking about? You're talking apartment. You're talking VIP something. You're talking like, come on. You're talking some modern place for $3,000.
Yeah, no.
I was you're back again.
No, a lot of people move down here to Texas, from California. I have family in California, over there it's super expensive compared down here. But yeah, I mean, to me, the housing market isn't a place that's easy to get into just because here in Texas, like people will place, bids 2 to 3 times over the house's price just to try to lock in. So to me, it's crazy. So yeah.
Yeah, but is that? Did you say it's cheap to buy a house?
I mean, it's cheap relative to a place like California or New York.
Yeah, but
just 'cause,
okay. Again, this is my question, because when we watch TV, there's houses in America, and then there's houses. Like, what type of house are you talking about? The type of house that what's her name? Tornado Katrina is blowing over. The
No,
three
no,
little
let me-
piggies are just going.
me
That
put it
type of
this way.
house.
No, let me put it to you this way. My
Because
grandma's
I'm
house
talking
in
like
Los
brick
Angeles.
built, proper house, not
Yeah, no,
you blow
Yeah.
3 times
no,
and
that's
it's
what I'm saying.
done.
My grandma's house in Los Angeles was probably built in the 40s. It's about
Yeah.
like maybe 1,200 square feet. Doesn't have central AC and is worth
I
about
am
almost
Yeah.
$700,000. My dad's house in Houston, Texas, 2,100 square feet, five bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, built in 2001, is worth about $200,000. That's
Yeah.
the difference. It's a huge difference what you can buy in California versus Texas. So all the people from California are moving down here, and they're buying the biggest, best houses, and people in here in Texas can't really compete with it.
Right.
But I mean, to me, it's a good thing. We're getting people moving across from it all around the country. Why not spread it out?
Take them. More need to move because we're finally getting decent rent. So take them. I want 1 million more to leave.
From where? New York?
Yeah. We went from 3,700 to 28. If another 1 million go, we might be to 22. I'm ready. Go.
Oh, that is funny. I'll be moving from Miami to Wisconsin in less than 2 weeks. 1,700 rent, going down to 465 with garage.
Yeah.
It definitely does depend on locate. 100%. Good for you. That is a bargain and a half.
But shout out to you with that cold weather. I don't think I could do Wisconsin's weather.
What, Wisconsin is cold?
In the winter?
Is it? Ooh.
That's like proper Midwest.
Danielle agrees with you. We don't want any more here. She agrees with you. She wants them out.
Get out.
Cold.
And so does Damsel. Are you all New Yorkers then, Damsel and Danielle? The New Yorkers
you can have them come. They came here the last 10 years. They gotten on my nerves with their dogs, with their unruly children, with their disgustingly priced cafes. I can't believe you spent $6 on juices. So go.
All the New Yorkers are moving to Miami.
Ridiculous. And then Miami's going up. Oh, your dog's so cute.
Yeah.
Oh, don't show her no dog, please.
He's crazy.
She's too into dogs. Come on. Can you tell what it is straight away?
It looks like a Yorkie.
Ah.
Nah, I think he's like a mix between like a Shih Tzu and a toy poodle.
Let me see. Oh, he's so cute.
Stop.
Yeah, he is a mix.
Yeah, he's definitely a mix. He's about 5 months.
Oh, well, he's bigger than a Yorkie. He looks smaller. He looks like oh my God, what is that? Maybe a Cavapoo? I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, my first dog was a toy poodle, and I was trying to get something like that, but I got hit.
It's a Maltese poodle mix.
Yeah, Maltese poodle. That's exactly what he looks like.
Oh, well done, Denzel.
Well done.
Get in the house. She knows what she's talking about.
Let's talk about the attempt to gentrify Harlem. I don't understand that because there's still too many wild individuals that live in Harlem for them to be gentrifying it. And they're so crazy. They be walking outside.
What do you mean? Do they try to make Harlem like the gay area?
No, gentrification, it means like beautification. It's
No,
And
all
he was
I think
turning
of when
like
you say
a
Harlem is
previously poor place
pose.
into a rich
So all I
place.
think of
Yeah.
is like Soho in London, like all the sex clubs and all that kind
No,
of grimy stuff.
no, that is
Okay,
not Harlem.
go
Harlem
on
was
then.
like gang banging central in the 90s. Then it became like, a nicer area. Now it's become like more businesses and stuff like that. But again, there are too many people who are wild in Harlem. We still get shootings every day.
Oh,
So I
really?
don't know why these people are coming. Yeah, I live in a city. Come on, you know what it's like. You don't have shootings, you have stabbings. It is what it
Yeah,
is.
we have stabbings a lot. Yeah, a lot
Well,
more
that's better
lately.
than
Yeah.
shootings, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so. I think stabbing means you've got more dangerous people in society.
No,
Shooting, anybody can pick up a gun, but stabbing is more personal and it's more calculated, don't you think?
but that's
No,
because you can't have guns in England. We can in America.
Yeah, you
well,
can't
I
have
mean,
guns here.
no. Besides that, I think it takes like I don't want to condone anything, but I think it takes a lot more. I guess
To
guts.
stab.
Yeah, to stab. Just
Yeah,
because
100%.
that's a lot more
For you
personal.
to puncture the skin
Yeah,
over and over again.
yeah. That's
Yeah,
like
Well, we have
that's
stabbings too. We
weird.
have people that get killed
yeah,
with
that's
machetes.
different.
So
That's
we have
different.
that too.
It's easier to
But
shoot people, I
I
guess.
just wanted to know, do you guys think in America though, like with this case, with the guy that got murdered, if his mom had money to afford a good solicitor, would they have indicted him? Do you think that would have made a difference?
In her day, no.
No,
Even today, probably not.
no.
No, yeah, no.
It's still the black that's really holding you back, the
Yeah.
fact that you're black.
Their
Well,
whole
it's not.
argument was to me that
Yeah,
he was black. I figured he was dangerous. So no.
yeah.
It's where he lives too. He lives in too of a white area. So, like, if it happened in Mount Vernon, it would be different. If it happened in Brooklyn, East New York, it would be different.
Hmm.
Like, he might not have gone to jail, but definitely they would have kept track of who he was. And every time he go for a job application, bam, it's right there.
The fact that he shot someone.
Yeah, because you can't even see him now.
No, to me,
This is what I'm saying. I believe he either had a parent in police. I don't know who this boy is. The only thing you find is him. Even that Mark Riley I found might not even be him because it's such a common name.
No, I think it's more about just compare his life at that time, a white boy's life, a young white boy's life, to a young black man's life. Whose life is worth more to society?
Yeah,
They probably
yeah.
gave society the benefit of the doubt, saying, "Yeah,
But he wasn't a
he's
bad
probably
kid. He
afraid."
was educated, like I was saying in the beginning.
That's what
Why
I'm saying.
is it when they say, oh, he was a thug or whatever, it's well deserved. But what if the person was actually a good person, went to school, did all the right things, and still,
Well,
you
see,
know what
the
I
thing
mean?
is, even when they call him a thug, that's just a justification for the racism. It's not really he was a thug. It's more of he was a black guy. That's how they are. That's the criminality. So he was a thug.
Yes.
So even when they're not, they come from a good background. They're educated. They'll still
Yeah.
use that same excuse, even through their own, rules. There's no justification for it.
Yeah.
So it's the same old excuse to me. It's just sad to see,
It is. Yeah. I don't know. I just think that his mom died in the end. It was so sad to see her in that hospital bed. She was so old, and all she ever did was just fight for her son to get justice. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. But like you said, Ablavi, how come we can't find this person?
Because he did his honorable killing.
Really?
Listen, I mean, you got to be honest in the world you live in, and you got to.
So what you're saying? This was a let's just kill for jokes?
I mean, I think he was doing what he was trying to rob that guy out of the car, right? The guy resisted because he didn't want his car robbed, so he killed that guy. And I'm sure he was working with local police, allegedly, because This doesn't happen without the police having involvement. I mean, you forget New York was run by gangsters for a long time, and they still have their input in to how things run in New York. If you look at Wall Street,
Serpico.
Yeah. If you look at Wall Street and you see how people are connected, and you look at organized crime, and you look at the cartel, why do you think that the DEA still allows drugs to be in the United States? Because it's profitable. Because they're working together. This delusional mindset, no, drugs is one of the best ways to make money. It's one of the easiest way to launder money in the world.
So what are you saying? They try to scrap the DEA, but they won't?
I'm saying too many. You can't pay somebody $50,000-$60,000 a year and expect them not to have a side hustle to do better in their life. You can't expect somebody to give up their life for what? $2 million in a lifetime? That's stupidity.
You mean the DEA, you mean? That's all they make, 50-60, when they can see 50-60 laying in front of them on a drug heist?
Yeah.
Think about it. You can make that in a day.
I don't know about that, because I've met cops in my neighborhood, and they live in the suburbs where I live, and you got to make at least 80, 90, 100,000, and where I meet, no. They make more than that.
Well, I'm not saying they don't, but when you compare them to the amount of money and the amount of things they confiscate, it's more money.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I believe they pocket things all the time. Probably here in England, too. 100%.
Like, yeah, there's some cops that make 120,000, but it's nowhere near the amount of money for what they do. I mean, if a businessman is scamming the world and he's getting paid $25 million a year, what is your 80 to 100,000?
Yeah, you got a point.
Yeah,
you made a point with that.
That's just how it is. So it's not. He just got in the middle of business.
Yeah,
and he got killed for it. And they knew this kid wasn't going to go to jail because he had other people in the echo chamber that would be convicted. This is all about money.
Yeah, I agree. But it's very sad.
If he was poor and of any race, they would have still killed him. The only way they wouldn't have killed him if he was rich and white and male.
Yeah.
Because it's the only people they care about.
Hector, look at the question.
Oh, his name's Rocco. Yeah.
You're going on for a long time today.
Yeah, no, I'm going to cut it now. It's done. Okay. But yeah, thank you. You want to sound off? Any last words, Hector?
No, just
Hector. Do I say Hector? How do I say the last three letters? Hector.
Yeah, I'm an airplane mechanic, so it's like Hector, like torque. So, but yeah.
Oh, Hector. Yeah. Okay.
But hi, Gatatua. I could see why you
really, Gatatua, really. Where is the avocado, Gatatua? You're late with the avocado. But thank you, everybody, for joining. This was just the first time. Thanks for joining. Hopefully, it will pick up and you guys can join me a bit more often. Thanks, Bobo. Who else? You know, Hector. You were very involved in the chat today. Thanks for that. I appreciate it. Thanks, FM. Thanks, Danielle. Nisei. Who else was there? Doreen. Raquel. Renee. Damsel. And... yeah, I think I've got everybody. But yeah.
What are you doing tomorrow? What are you doing next week? Because you didn't tell us this week what you were doing.
I did.
No, you didn't.
Oh, you mean what I'm going to be reviewing, you mean?
Yes.
I had no clue.
My phone died, so I can't even look now. I was thinking, you know what? I might get into that, thanks, Damsel. But next week with the Moisture and Murder, I might talk about Laurie Vallow, that crazy lady with the doomsday thing. that killed her kids.
Okay, and where is this? Netflix?
I'll let you know. I was thinking of doing her, but unless you've got a proposition, let me know.
Well, you know, there was that boxer in Puerto Rico that just killed his girlfriend.
Yes, I saw that, but there's not much about him though. It's only
her and his
Yeah, he
unborn
killed-
child.
Yes, yeah. I mean, we could do a couple of those in one because they're quite short stories. There's another boxer, not a boxer, another Olympian that killed his girl a couple of days ago too. Because when he comes up, another one comes up.
Well, there've been a lot.
Yeah.
I don't
People
even
are
know
just
South African one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the South
yeah.
African guy. He was on
Oscar
the Olympic.
Pistorius? Yeah. I think
The
that's-
Olympic.
Yeah.
I know a bit
The one
about
with
that
the
actually because I've watched all the
Paralympic, I think.
documentaries.
Yeah. Started
Okay, cool.
The bathroom door.
Say that again.
I can't
Shot
with
his
it.
girlfriend through the back room door.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
The bathroom
that's
door. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that. But yeah, no, thanks for the well, check that out then, you guys. Actually, check out Oscar Pistorius. That's his name, right?
Yeah.
So.
Oscar Pistorius. Yeah, check him out and see what you can find, and then yeah, we'll discuss him and Riva. Hold on, I remember her last name. Riva something Camp. Melon Camp. Remind me, Gatatouille. Riva. Oh, she was really pretty as well. Riva, her name was.
Well, Ablavi's going live tomorrow. We are going, no, not tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday. Friday, Married at First Sight. And then Saturday, we're going to have our hot topic because I didn't realize Sunday is Mother's Day. Then I'm going to review Selena, I think. And because Miss Nabia took my spot, I'll be doing Girlfriends in Sex and the City next Wednesday.
Oh, did I take your spot tonight? Did I? I was saying to Leslie, is she not going live tonight?
No, I will do it next week. But be sure to like, share, and subscribe.
Did you say Selena?
Yeah. Because they have the Selena
the series. The second season is out now, I think.
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Yeah. I didn't know. Yeah, no. I'm like
that new season. It's very spicy. Check it out.
I'm doing Selena, and then I'm doing Luis Miguel.
Yeah.
And apparently he's a big Puerto Rican singer. I'm doing him too the next following Monday.
Yeah, Oscar Pistorius and Riva Steenkamp. Yeah. But yeah, guys, check that out. And yeah, check in with me next week. Make sure you drink lots of water and moisturize, ladies.
Yes.
Young girls with all that makeup.
Let's make sure tomorrow we moisturize. Let's make sure we moisturize next week.
You know what? I can't with her. Everybody who watched, thank you for being there while I moisturized, cleansed, and toned my skin. So yes, check me out next week. And thanks for coming. Just make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss another live. And I'll catch you guys next week. So take care. You two. On 3, we'll say bye.